Brawl Stars is a pretty popular mobile game, so I thought it'd be pretty cool if I could web scrape the data for each brawler, which is basically the character that I use to fight other people. So I'm first going to use Python to web scrape the data, and then I'm going to put it into a pandas data frame, which is going to contain the stats for each brawler. And then I'm going to move on to Power BI, because in Power BI I can create a basic dashboard that's going to visualize the data that I got in Python. So let's get into it. So I'm basically going to use this website called brawlplanet.com, and I'm basically going to put the website link in the description below so you can follow along with me if you want. And so basically this page has like the tier ratings for all the different brawlers in the game. But the main things I'm interested in is the table, this table over here, which has the win rates for each brawler, and then this table over here, which has like, you know, the individual information like the health, attack, and reload speed and stuff for each brawler. So I'm going to be basically scraping these two tables inside of my Python editor. Alright, so to start off, I'm going to import 3 libraries. I'm going to say import requests, and then from BS4 import beautiful soup. And so basically these are the 2 libraries that you need to web scrape data. And then I'm also going to import pandas as PD because I'm going to be exporting the data that we get from the website as a pandas data frame. So I'm going to run that, and then I'm going to say page is equal to request.get, and then I'm going to paste in this URL over here like that, and then I'm going to say soup is equal to beautiful soup, and then page.content html.parser. And so basically these 2 lines of code is a standard way of getting data from a website into an HTML code. So if I want to see the HTML code for the website, I'm going to run that, and then I'm going to say print soup.printify. And so yeah, that basically gives me the HTML code for this website. And so if I do Control-Shift-I on this page and go to the elements, then you can see that there's some HTML code here, and it should look the same as this one. If I expand, yeah, okay, so over here you can see like the HTML code in the Python editor is the same as what you see over here. So that's good because we could basically access the HTML code inside of our Jupyter notebook. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these 2 tables, the 2 tables I want inside the Jupyter notebook. So to do that, I'm going to say, I'm going to go over here and then right click the table and then do inspect. That's automatically going to take me to that table, the HTML code for the table. And then I'm just going to hover over which spot the HTML code refers to. So I basically want, okay, yeah, it's over here. I want the HTML code to highlight the whole table because I want to get the whole table, not just each individual item or whatever. So I'm going to, okay, yeah, so it's this one, or actually maybe if I go up 1 second. If I expand this, then, okay, no, it's actually this one. This one has the data. The one over here, if I highlight that includes the headers, but I'm not going to include the headers. I'm just going to include only the data. So it's going to be this tbody HTML part, and then I can see that if I hover over each table row, it's going to highlight each row in the table, which is what I want, because first I'm going to get this whole table, and then I'm going to use a for loop to loop through each row in that table. So I'm going to say tables is equal to soup.findAll, and then inside the findAll method you pass in the kind of HTML thing it is. So in this case it's tbody, so I'm gonna say tbody, and then I'm also gonna pass in the class name just to be more specific. And I'm also pretty sure if I scroll down to the second table, I'm going to do inspect on that one. And then if I go here, yeah, so basically there's two tables in here and they both have the T body tag or whatever. So I'm going to call the T body tag and then specify the class name, because both of the tables that I want, they have this same class. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to say attributes equal to class, and then pass in that. And then so basically this line of code here, this is gonna return a list that has all the tables that I want, which is this one and this one, and it's gonna return as a list. So basically if I run that and then I do tables, so basically this list contains the two tables that I wanted, because these two tables, they both have the T body element tag, and then they both have the same class name, which is this thing that I just pasted in here. And so to access each table, I have to just use some indexing. So the first element in this list refers to this table over here, which is like contains all the percentages. So to do that, I'm gonna say brawler. I'm just gonna call it brawler percentage table is equal to tables 0 0, right? Because remember that Python uses 0 indexing, so calling it by 0, that refers to the first element of the list. And then the second one is this one, right? And so that's gonna be, I'm just gonna call it brawler info table is equal to tables. And you don't say 2, you say 1, because 1 refers to the second element of the list, 0 refers to the first element of the list, if that makes sense. And so if I run that, then yeah, basically this variable contains this whole table, and then this variable contains this second table over here. So yeah, now I'm going to create a for loop for each table, and I'm going to create 2 separate pandas data frames. So here's what's going to look like. So now I'm going to create an empty list called brawler percentage list is equal to empty list, and then I'm going to say for row in the percentage table dot find all table row. So basically this for loop is gonna loop through each individual table row, and so that means that the row variable it's gonna contain it's gonna return a list of all the table data cells, which is the information that we want. So that means that I'm gonna say, actually to start things off first, I'm gonna just return the brawler names, which is over here. So I'm gonna say brawler name is equal to row.findAll table data cell. And so this is gonna, or actually no, not find all, that's not, I have to add a 0 to it, because find all, this part is gonna return all of these elements, the TD elements. But I want to get the first TD element, which is this one, and that contains the brawler name. And so that's why I'm calling the index of 0, because that's going to return the first element in the list of all the table data cells. And so if I print out each brawler name, it should print out all the brawlers in the game. And actually no, I'm going to say .text to make it cleaner. And so yeah, that's gonna print out all the brawlers in the game. So what that means is, it's pretty easy from here. You just look at the table. This contains the win rate. So I'm gonna say win rate is equal to row.find all TD. It's gonna be the second element, because if I hover over the second element of the table data cell, then it highlights the win rate. And so that means it's going to be the first index. I'm going to say dot text, and then I'm just going to paste, let's see, how many columns there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 2 more of these. So 3, 4, and then it's going to be index of 2, index of 3, and then the table data cell with the index of 2, that's going to be the pick rate or the use rate. And then the last one, which is index of 3, that's going to be the star player rate. So you can see, like, as I'm doing this project, I'm like going back and forth between the Python editor and the HTML code. And you're probably going to have to use this when you use Beautiful Soup, because you're going to have to look at what HTML element the data is contained inside the website, so that you could call it inside the Python editor. And so now I'm going to create another list inside the for loop, and that's going to be called, you call whatever you want. I'm just going to call it percentage per brawler equal to list, empty list. And then I'm going to do, actually I'll just copy this, paste it, dot append, and then I'm going to append each thing. So I'm going to say append the brawler name, and then append the win rate, append the use rate, and then append the star player rate. And so this empty list is going to contain the data for each individual brawler. But then I want to append the information inside the individual list into the outer list, which contains, it's going to contain a 2D list that's going to be outer list, and then there's going to be a bunch of individual lists inside the outer list, and each individual list is going to contain the individual brawler information, if that makes any sense. Hopefully that I explained that well. And so we're going to do brawler percentage list dot append. We're going to append what's inside this. And so why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because it makes it a lot easier for me to export it or to put it inside a pandas data frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, what should I call this? I'll call this brawler percentage df is equal to pd.dataframe, and then you pass in the list, and you call the columns is equal to, and you got to make sure that it's in order. So we said that first it's brawler name, then it's win rate, then it's use rate, then star player rate. So I'm basically gonna match the order of the columns in the data frame. So I'm gonna say brawler name, then win rate, and then I'll just copy this, paste. Oh shoot, that did not copy right. Paste that, and then use rate, star player rate. Okay, and then this should work. Let me just double check the code. So this is the individual brawler information, then I append each thing into the individual one, and then I append the individual list into the outer list, and I put the outer list inside the pandas data frame. So that should work, hopefully. And yeah, that looks like I put it inside the data frame right. So now all I have to do is basically copy this code, but do it for the second table now. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this, do nice Control C, and then Control V. And so instead of brawler percentage list, I'm gonna call it brawler info list. And then instead of row in brawler percentage table, I'm gonna say, where's that, brawler info table. And so now this for loop is looping through all the individual table rows in the second, in the second table over here. So yeah. And then now instead of saying brawler name, or actually this one's the same. The first element of the table data is the brawler name. Then the second one is not the win rate, it's actually the health. And then it's gonna be attack. I'm just gonna put all the columns in here. Attack and then range. Or I think, yeah, this refers to attack range, so I'll call it attack range. And then I'm gonna do some more copy and pasting because this has a bit more data than the last table. So this one is reload speed, and that is the fourth index, fifth column, yeah. And then this one is movement speed. Cool. And that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 6 column, but it's the 5th index because 0 indexing. And so yeah, gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna say info per brawler, and then copy. I'm gonna change this. Or actually, this can stay the same. Change that to health. Change this to attack. Change this one to attack range. And then gonna copy this 2 more times. Reload speed and then movement speed. Okay, cool. Then I just need to change this part to, what's that called again? Info list. And that appends the info per brawler. And so I'm gonna change this to info df instead of percentage df. This is info list. And then the columns are a bit different too. I'm gonna say this is brawler name. This is gonna be I'm gonna call it level 1 health because all of these numbers right now, they refer to level 1 in the game. You could actually you could upgrade it to higher levels, and it's gonna increase like the health and stuff. But for this website page, it only contains the starting level health and stuff. So that's why I'm saying level 1 health. I just want to be more specific. And then for this one's gonna be level 1 attack. Actually, I'm not gonna call it attack. I'll call it damage because it refers to how much damage you do. So I'll call this level 1 damage, and then this is gonna be called attack range, because attack range for all the levels is the same, so I'm not going to say level 1. This is reload speed, and this is movement speed. Alright, and then all we got to do is do this. Going to return the first 5 rows. Going to run that, and we got an error. It says attack is not defined. Okay, yeah, I got to change this to damage. Run that. There we go, okay. And I just returned the first 5 rows. If I get rid of this, the head function, then it's going to return everything. And so yeah, now this data frame is also looking pretty good. And so I got both of the data frames, so I can move on to the next step now. Now that we got our 2 pandas data frames, I'm going to merge them into one big data frame because I want to export that into my local computer. And it's actually really easy to do. It only requires like 1 line of code in Python. So this is actually pretty easy to do. I'm just going to create a new cell, and then I'm going to say df is equal to pd.merge. So we're going to use the merge function here. And then I'm going to put in the 2 data frames that I want to merge. So I'm going to say the percentage data frame, and then the info data frame. And in the third argument, you pass in the name of the column that you want to merge the 2 data frames on. And so I'm going to merge it on the column called brawler name, because that's what both of these 2 data frames have in common. So basically this line of code, it's going to merge the 2 data frames together based on the same values inside the brawler name column, if that makes any sense. So if I say df, if I run that, then now you can see the win rate, use rate, star player rate, but you can also see the health, damage, attack range, reload speed, movement speed, all on the same big data frame. And so the last step that we're going to do in this Python editor is I'm going to export this data frame into a CSV file. So to do that, I'm going to say df.toCSV, and then I'm going to pass in the name of the file that I want it to be called. So I'm gonna say Brawl Stars stats.csv. I'm also gonna say index is equal to false because I don't want to include these numbers, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 73, 74, blah blah blah, inside the CSV file. So if I run this line of code, it's gonna create a new CSV file called Brawl Stars stats inside of the same folder as where this whole Python program is. So I'm gonna run that, and now it's gonna be in my local computer, so I can move on to the next part, which is visualizing this data inside another app. If you're still watching this part of the video, then I know that you're interested in the data science field, so just do me a favor and hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, because you're gonna see my latest content related to data science. Also, it's free, so you have literally nothing to lose if you hit that subscribe button. So yeah, enough of my advertising. Let's get on to the Power BI part of the video. Alright, so now I'm in the Power BI app, and first thing I'm gonna do is go to the Get Data button, click on the drop down arrow, and then click on text/CSV. And so I'm just gonna go to the folder where the CSV file is in, which is over here, and this is the one that I created in the Python editor before. So I'm just gonna click on that, click on open, and then it's gonna take a while to load, and now it's gonna show me a preview of the data. And usually I click on transform data because I want to clean up the data before I put it into the Power BI, but in this video, I'm just going to go straight into loading because the purpose of this video is mainly just to show you how some of the visuals look. So I'm just going to click on load, and then it's going to load it into the model. It's going to take a while to load. Alright, there we go. And then now I'm going to go to the model view, and this is going to show me the table over here. And normally when you have multiple tables, there's going to be multiple of these boxes that show up, and this is the place where you make connections or relationships between the different tables that you have. But in my case, I only have one table over here, so I don't really have to do that. I'm just gonna, most of the part of the video I'm gonna spend in is gonna be in the report view. So this is the part where I'm just gonna build up the visuals here. Keep in mind that in this video, I'm only showing you a pretty basic dashboard, and there's a lot more you can do with this. So I actually encourage you to add more visuals of your own choice and make it look better than mine, because if you just copy what I'm doing in this tutorial, then you're not going to really learn. You have to actually go above and beyond what I'm doing so that you get better at Power BI, and you should try to implement what I'm doing into your own projects in the future. Alright, so I got a little bit distracted there. Let's get on to the real part of the video now. Okay, so first I'm going to go to insert and then click on shapes, rectangles, and then I'm just gonna make it fill up this window, and then I'm gonna add some text, turn the text on. Let's call this Brawl Stars stats, and then I'm gonna change the font. Let's make it to 30, 35 maybe. Okay, sure, yep. And then I'll change the color to navy blue. And so yeah, that's looking pretty good so far. Now I'm gonna put a slicer on the top left hand corner of the dashboard, and a slicer is basically a filtering tool. Okay, so to create a slicer, I'm gonna click on this button over here, and it's gonna show me this thing on the screen. And then if I need to shrink this a little bit like that. And then so for each visual that you make in Power BI, you're gonna have to drag in the fields from here into this fields category. So in this case, I want to filter the other visuals by the brawler name. So I'm gonna drag in the brawler name in the fields category, and then you're gonna see here you can like check which brawlers you want to see. And then once I create the other visuals on the screen, you're gonna see that as I click on the different brawlers, the visual is gonna change based on which brawler I choose. And so actually I prefer this way. There's like you could change the style of it. So if I go to format visual, slicer settings, and then I'm gonna change the drop down. And so I actually prefer this one better because in my opinion, it just looks cleaner. You can just click on this button and then you scroll down, click the brawlers that you want, And I'm actually gonna make this text bigger because it looks pretty small right now. So whenever you want to edit a visual, you select the visual that you want and then click on this format visual button, and then I'm gonna increase the font size here, and then increase the slicer header like so. There we go. Okay, and yeah, I'm gonna drag it just about here. Yeah, so now that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to move on to the next step. Alright, now I'm going to show 3 cards next to the slicer, and the cards are going to show the average win rate, the average use rate, and the average star player rate. Okay, so to create the cards, I'm going to click on this button over here, and then I'm going to do Control C, Control V, and then Control V again to create 3 cards. And I'm just going to like move it over here, and over here I'm going to put in the use or the win rate, and then I don't want to get the sum of all the win rates. I want to get the average value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the drop down arrow and then click on average like that. And then I'm going to do the same for the other one. This one's going to be use rate. Change that to average. This one's going to be the star player rate. Change that to average. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to move. I'm going to shrink it a little bit to fit all the cards on one side. Alright. There we go. I'm gonna style it a bit better later, but that's looking good for now. Now I'm going to move on to the next step. Alright, last but not least, I'm going to show you a basic histogram. So I'm going to click on this button over here, which gives me a stack column chart, but I can still make a histogram out of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to make a histogram on the health field, and I'm basically going to show like how many brawlers have a certain amount of health in the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click the level 1 health, go to new group, and then I'm going to create bins, which is basically like intervals. So I'm going to say make each size of the bin 500. So that means there's going to be, each bin is going to have a difference. The difference between the minimum and the maximum of each separate bin is going to be 500. And so if I click on OK, you can see that it creates a new field over here. And so if I click on the stack column chart, it's going to give me more options than it did for the card. So for the x-axis, I'm going to put in the bins. And then for the y-axis, I'm going to put in the level 1 health. And I don't want to get a sum, I want to get the count of the health. So I'm going to say count, and then I'm going to expand this a little bit. And so yeah, you can basically see like the distribution of all the health for the brawlers. So you can see that majority of the brawlers have the health between 3,000 to 3,500. So I'm actually going to change the title, because right now the title and like the x-axis doesn't really, I don't like how it says bins like that. So I'm going to click on format your visual, and then go to general, click on title. I'm going to change this to brawler count by the health, like that. And then I'm gonna go to format again, click on y-axis, title, and then change it to brawler count. And then for the x-axis, I'm gonna say health bins, something like that. So yeah, that's looking pretty good now. I'm actually gonna make the title a bit bigger. And by now, everything I'm doing now is just optional. I'm just doing it for styling purposes. So you could do it my way, or you could style it whatever the way you want it to be. So I'm just gonna increase the font Yeah, like that. And then for the cards, I'm gonna add a border around it by going to the general, clicking on effects, clicking on visual border, and I'm gonna shrink it a little bit. There we go. I'm also gonna copy the size for one of the cards and make sure that each or all the cards have the same size because it looks cleaner that way. So I'm gonna shrink this one, and then actually I'll shrink this one. And so it says the size is 149 237. So I'm gonna do that for this one. 149 237, and then 149 237. Okay, cool. And then this one, I'm gonna click on this one, and then click on Format Painter, and then click on this one. Click on Format Painter again, click on this one. It's just like a quick shortcut to get the same format. It's basically like a copy and paste for the format, so I don't have to keep doing it again. So I'm just gonna move it a little bit, and then I'll move this down, and then this one I'll also add a border. I'm gonna click on this, the visual with the border on it, click on Format Painter, and then click on this one. Or let me try that again. There you go. And now that I added the border, and then I'm make it a bit bigger. Okay, I should make that smaller. There we go. And one last finishing touch, I'm gonna change the font or change the color of the number. I'm going to color value, change the color to blue. Okay, yeah, that looks like a good blue. I like that color. So I'm gonna do that. And then Format Painter. Click on Format Painter. That, okay, cool. And then click on that one to change the color to blue for all the other cards. And so this is just a really simple dashboard that I made. Obviously, you can make it better. The purpose of this part was just to show you how like some of the visuals in Power BI works and how to drag the fields around and stuff. So hopefully you learned something new about Power BI today. And that's about it for this video. Let me go on to the next screen. Alright, that's all I got for this video. If you want to see another video where I web scrape data, check out this video over here where I scrape tennis rankings. And so hopefully I see you there, and thanks for watching.